Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take this caliper and we're going to relocate it off to the side. So we're going to take out those bolts in the back. I believe they're 17 millimeter. Just take our caliper off like this. And we're just going to bring it off to the side like this. We're just going to hang it off to the side like that for now. Take our rotor off. Now, the reason you need to see these bolts in here, these bolts need to come out to get that bearing off. To get these bolts out, we have to press this hub out. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this cap off right here. Now sometimes this cap is a little bit of a pain to get it off. Just watch you don't damage it. I usually get in there with a chisel like this, push it out a little bit, and then just get in there with a big screwdriver like this and turn it, and it comes right out. Now we'll take that cotter pin out there. Take this cap off. Then we're going to air gun that nut off right there. The reason I pushed it in is to make sure that the axle was free, and it is. So it's nice and loose. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to disconnect the ABS sensor itself. Bring it in there, I'll show you what that looks like. Okay. This is the ABS sensor right in here. We're going to take out that Allen key right there. We're going to take that out. And then we're going to rock that sensor back and forth and take that out. Now what I'm also going to do is up underneath here, you know what, let me see if I can show you. I'm just going to get in here with a pair of needle nose pliers such as this, and I'm just going to squeeze these back together right there and push it up. Like that. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Just squeeze it together. And we push it out. So now we didn't break the harness connectors. We need to put them back in so they don't get tangled up in here by accident. I am going to leave this on here right now because it makes it a little easier to move it. But we're going to take out that bolt right there. And then we're going to pull that sensor out. And then we're going to air gun out these bolts here and disconnect the tie rod end. So, all right, let's continue. Now we're going to connect this in over here. It's a little bit rusty, so we're going to tap it. Just so it seats in there all the way. You want to be real careful with these. You don't want to break them. Okay. You can usually feel when it's going to snap. And that's our bolt. So we're going to put this back in obviously later. And now we're just going to put it off to the side right here. And we'll come back to that. Now we're going to get that sensor out. On something like this, that penetrating oil comes in very handy. With that sensor, you don't want to force it and break it, so you just keep on working it back and forth and keep slight pressure on it. Now that one I can tell you came out a lot easier than the other side. Alright, so we're just going to take this sensor now, and we're just going to relocate it up and out of the way like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take out this bolt right here. Now in here is an Allen key goes in there, except it's really badly rusted. So chances are we're not going to be able to get that out with the Allen key. But we'll see how it goes. I didn't think so, the whole thing is spinning. So we're just going to use vice grips on this side over here to hold this, because this is a totally round piece over here. And like I said, that's so rusted inside there, I couldn't do it on the other side, and it won't happen on this side either. Out like that. Next thing we're going to do now is we're going to come over here and we're going to take out that cotter pin up on the top there. Let me show you what that looks like as well. Right there, we're going to take out this cotter pin, and then we're going to pull out the cotter pin through here, and then we're going to shoot that off with the air gun. Alright, so alright, let's continue with that. Now, that thing is extremely rusty on the other side. I was not able to get that cotter pin out, but we'll see how it goes. Just going to shoot it out. Now I know it's going to be difficult for you to do that without having the air, but if you have to drill out the cotter pin or whatever. I just knocked it out with this, and now I'm going to take a center punch and pop that out of it. Looks like it was easy, and it was, but the other side was really a pain in the rear end. See what I did? I went in there and I hammered that cotter pin through there, and it came out slightly on the other end over here. And then what you do, you just get on it with a pair of cutting pliers like this, and you pull it right out just like that. Looks easy, but I know it's going to be a pain in the rear end for you. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our tool to pop this tie rod end out of here. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to hit it right here a couple of times, and that should get it to pop out. So let's set you up and see how it goes. And as you can see, it popped right out. See? No damage to here. Everything looks good. We can reuse it again. And we just hit it right there and got it to pop out. Alright, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to take this down right here. So, alright, let's continue with that. Now temporarily, just so you know, I'm going to stick that back up in there, right there. Just like this. And the reason I'm going to do that is because I'm going to be pulling on that nut right there, and the whole thing is going to rotate. So, all right. Okay. Let's get this this lock out. You're right, we're not using that over again. We're going to put a new cotter pin in there. Now let's take this and loosen that up. Now like I said, this one here, the 3/4 fits tighter than anything, so that's what we're going to use, the 3/4. Be very tight, so we're just going to put a second wrench over the top like this so we can increase the leverage. Okay, now we're not going to take this out all the way yet. We're going to hit right here with the hammer too and try to get it to pop out. If not, we'll use the ball joint tool. It does have an alarm on it. All right, you saw how that popped out? So now we have that disconnected. We have the axle shaft loose. We're going to shoot out the 2 bolts on the bottom. So now our ball joint is loose. Our tie rod end is also loose. That's it. We're just going to tap it lightly to get it to move. Last, we're going to hold this up like that, take our nut off like this, and that's it. Our hub is off. Now let me explain to you what's going on here. You see, you know what, let's put this down and we'll go over and talk about it right here on the floor. Okay, so what we have to do is we need to get this out, pull this piece out over here. We just get in the back with a screwdriver or a chisel and get this out of there. We're going to come in, we're going to push out that hub right there, and once you push that hub out, this piece here, the hub, will come out, and then we just take out that bolt there. There's 4 of them, take the 4 bolts out, and we pull the bearing right out of there. Like I said, I got a couple of things over there I got to do, so I'm going to send this to the machine shop because that was a little bit of a pain in the rear end getting out using the hub grappler. So alright, so we're going to wait for the machine shop to pick it up, and we'll come back when we have it ready to go back together. Okay, now that we have it back with the new bearing and everything in it, we're going to put it back together. First thing you want to do is get the top hung up there first, and we're going to catch it with the nut. We're not going to tighten it up. We're just going to catch it loosely. Make sure your axle comes through. Okay. Now we're going to catch both of the bolts that hold the lower ball joint in. We're just going to catch them loosely as well. Everything is done by hand. tightening anything up yet. We're just going to catch it loosely. All right, now there is torque specs on everything. There's torque specs for the bolts on the bottom, torque specs for the top, and especially torque specs for the hub bearing itself. If you don't torque this on properly, you're going to overload the bearing and you're going to wipe out the new bearing, or you're going to leave it too loose and you're going to have a problem. So I'm just going to tighten everything up loosely, and then we're going to check the torque on it. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to catch our tie rod end, put it through. And again, you'll notice I'm not tightening up anything yet. Everything is just going back together right now. All right, we're going to put our stabilizer link back through as well. Okay, now that we have everything caught, we have the top ball joint in, stabilizer link is in place, tie rod end is on, and ball joint is in. We're going to start to tighten everything up. Like I said, I will come back and torque that. Just lining everything up now with the bolts. We're going to tighten this in. This is going to be a little bit tighter to screw in, because remember we had to use the vice grips on this because that's rounded out. Normally I would change it, but the customer does not want to change it. Okay, so we have the stabilizer link is now tight. We are going to check the torque on the lower ball joint and also the tie rod end as well. This will come back to. As you can see good. Okay, right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull down on the upper ball joint so I can actually screw it back in. Now there is torque specs for the ball joint as well. Just lining up the hole for the cotter pin. Okay, let me just torque these all down and then we'll come right back. Okay. Alright, we have everything torqued down. Now we're going to put our cotter pins back through here. Upper ball joint first. And bend the cotter pin down. Now I am going to put the other cotter pin through the tie rod. The outer tie rod as well. Alright, so now our ball joint is tight, our tie rod end is tight, our upper ball joint is tight, our stabilizer link is tight. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put our rotor back on here. Now, you remember before I bent that backing plate so I could get in there with that tool to knock the collar pin out? We're just going to bend it back a little bit so that's not touching anywhere. We're just going to put the nut on to hold the rotor in place while I continue to work with the brakes. Now, whenever a bearing is pressed, always check the backing, the heat shield or the deflector in the back, because sometimes that gets bent and it'll touch into the rotor. You want to make sure that it's not touching, otherwise you'll get a grinding noise. As you can see now, it's nice and clear. Let's take a look in there. Okay, so we got plenty of clearance there now. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our ABS sensor. We're going to bring it back over here to where it belongs. We did put a little lubricant on here already. Okay, we're going to leave that ABS sensor for now. We're going to continue with this. We're going to take our caliper, bring it back over. Okay, now we're going to snug down the bolts in the back. Okay, there is torque specs on these bolts as well, which I will look up and retorque them. All right, next thing we're going to do now is we're going to catch that 12mm bolt up in the top right there. Even though you see me turning it in here with this socket, I'm turning it in by hand before I tighten it. Okay, so now we have this is tight. Now the last thing we're going to do is we're going to reconnect that ABS sensor. There we go, I'll show you. I hope you can see here okay. We're just going to take our ABS sensor, put it back down in here. Like I said, I lubricated it already. Push it right back in. Let's get a light here so you can see. Alright, we got it back in there. And we're going to screw in our hold down screw. Snug that down. Now all of these are not very tight, they're just going snug. You're not going to go too tight and break anything. Alright. Now next thing we're going to do is we're going to put these tabs back in where they came out, just like that, so that way that ABS sensor doesn't touch the axle by accident. Alright, and that's probably going to be it for that. Now we're going to tighten up this nut right here, so let's do that and we're almost done. Okay, this nut here calls for 184 foot-pounds, just so you know. What I normally do is just take a screwdriver, stick a screwdriver in here, just like that, and now we can tighten it. Alright, now we just torque it. Okay, that's pretty much it. We're going to turn this one off because the battery's dying. And let's just go over what we did and make sure it's all set. Right? Put your lock tab on here like this, and because you see how it doesn't line up quite right. There's also another like this. You just keep taking it off until you get one that lines up fairly straight like that, and then we're going to put our cotter pin back through there. All right. Make sure you bend your cotter pin. Up and out of the way. Alright, and last but not least, we're going to put our cover back on. Now when you put this back on, you do not want to get in here with a hammer and pound it right there, because you're going to dent it and it's going to make a clicking noise. You just tap on the end and get it caught. And then you just take a drift and just go around. And that's it. That's it. Alright, so let's talk about what we did and make sure everything is all set. And then we'll throw the wheel on and we're going to take it for a test drive. What we did, we tightened up our upper ball joint. We put our cotter pin through it. We put our tie rod end on here, and we also put a cotter pin through it. We tightened up our stabilizer link nice and tight. We put that 12 millimeter bolt back through here and tightened that up. We reconnected our ABS sensor back into its original location right down in there. We made sure that those tabs were popped back in where they belong. We also came underneath here and we tightened up the lower ball joint there and there. We also tightened up that 17 millimeter bolt for the mounting bracket, and there and there. All right. We also made sure that the bolt here was torqued on properly, put our lock tab on, and put our cotter pin through there, and that's it. We're all set. Okay, so that's it. Just go over everything in your head, make sure everything is nice and tight. Again, make sure that that backing plate was not bent and touching into the back of the rotor, because you will get that noise as the wheel spins. We're going to put our wheel on. You're going to pump the brake pedal up to make sure that the pedal is nice and firm. Take it for a road test and you're done. All right, as always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.